Good day, boys and girls. I hope you are all keeping safe and healthy at home. This is our first video lesson that we're going to try and do. I'm doing this in PowerPoint presentations. I'll also ask Mrs. Binneman to send them to you so that you have access, because I'm giving you some of the answers to the exercises or the activities you should have done as part of your homework assignments. The first slide, important to note, LB, where I've put LB on your slides, it refers to your textbook. During these lessons, I will be focusing on lessons that are important for future examinations and will therefore not cover every single task I've given for your homework assignments. All the work will, however, be dealt with in class, and we will mark it together once we are fully operational again. So don't be concerned about it. We will definitely go through all the work again, and in cases where you don't understand, we will obviously do some revision on those particular issues as well. For formal assessments, the ones I've given you in the second batch of homework assignments, I will mark that once we are back in the classroom. You must please not let those papers disappear. I will, however, in the interim teach on the material which I've given you for formal assessments in order for you to grasp the work and then perhaps to assist you in doing the actual assessments. So the first one we're going to look at is the task 2 I've given you. It's in your textbook on pages 48 to 49. The heading that you should have written for me is after you read page 49. So you had to read your story and then you had to do these questions. Question 1A to D are the sentences I asked you to write down with the correct answer. You had to select from 2 options. The first one is the setting of the story is a neighborhood with a dump nearby. I've highlighted the correct answer in pink for you and I've underlined it for you. Question 1B, the plot is about children who help to catch people who dump waste. Question 1C, the story begins with children playing on the dump. Question 1D, the story ends when the police catch the bad men. Remember, they catch the bad men with the help of the children as well as the guy that helped the little girl. Question 1E, you had to name one character there. The character is Dr. Smith. That was not mentioned on any of the pages. Then question 2, you had to match a noun and an adjective. Remember, nouns, there are 3 characteristics of nouns. It is the name given to a person, a place, or an object. It has a singular and a plural form in most cases. And it is something that you can experience with your senses. In other words, something you can see, touch, feel, or smell, or whatever. Your adjective describes your noun. I've highlighted the adjectives in a different color for you. So the first one is brave children. The second one, dangerous waste. And the last one, dirty rubbish. That was quite an easy one. Moving on to our next heading, work with words and sentences on page 49. They've given you answers in that table and you had to make question sentences. Now what I first want to tell you, remember to always end a question sentence with a question mark. That's very important. Please remember your punctuation. And then remember the verbs change. So if it says she decides to do something, then when you ask the question, it is what does she decide to do? Then your S is in the word does, in that verb, and decide, you drop the S. What does she decide to find out? So the answer for the first answer is, or the question for the first answer is, where are they playing? Remember your subject-verb agreement, boys. Where are they playing? What does she decide to find out is the answer to question 1B. 1C, who does she ask to help? Question 1D, Wally is one person, does Wally help her? And then 1E, who do they tell? So that is how you had to structure your question sentences for the answers that have been given in your textbook. So that concludes the first task that I've set you. Then moving on to task 3, this can be found on page 51 in your textbook. Question 1, language, nouns on page 51. Remember, we've just said the 3 characteristics of nouns. Now we're looking at countable and uncountable nouns. We've done this numerous times before. A countable noun is something that has a singular and a plural form. You can have 1 needle and 3 needles or 5 needles. You can physically count it. So you had to divide the words they've given you into the different columns, whether it is a countable noun or an uncountable noun, and those are the correct answers. All the countable nouns are highlighted in green for you on the left-hand side: needle, van, hospital, truck, bag, child. Remember, 1 child, but 3 children. Remember the plural there. And then uncountable nouns, these are typically nouns that doesn't have a singular or a plural form. Remember, you don't say, I'm going to put in lots of petrols in my car. It's just petrol. I'm going to fill up my car with petrol. Spaghetti. Advice, I receive advice from lots of people. You don't say, I receive advices from more than 1 person. Information the same, rubbish the same, and sand the same. So those are your countable, that is the difference between your countable and uncountable nouns. That's question 1. Question 2, another one, plural and singular nouns, where we've done this before as well in previous lessons. Your plural nouns are nouns that have only a plural form. They cannot be written in the singular form. Scissors, trousers, jeans, mathematics, news. Remember, I told you, if you are Afrikaans speaking, lots of time we ask someone, how do you like my jean? That is not correct, boys and girls. Jeans only has a plural form. And then your singular nouns are nouns that have both a singular and a plural form. 1 bag, many bags. The same with needles, friends, dreams, and books. So there you had to divide the 2 groups in the 2 columns, either plural nouns that only have a plural form or singular nouns that have both a singular and a plural form. Question 3. She opened the spaghetti with scissors, not with a scissor or with many scissors. It's usually with a pair of scissors, or you can just say she opened the spaghetti with scissors. And then we have no information about the rubbish at the dump. Information does not have a plural form. You can't say we have no informations about the rubbish. We have no information. And then question 4 again, you had to match the words. I've color-coded them for you as well so that you can see how they match up. Happy birthday, good afternoon, fish and chips, salt and pepper, pots and pans, knives and forks. You could have just written it in that format for me. You could have written it in different colors, but I didn't specify that, so that's not necessary. Then task 6, that can be found on page 54. We'll quickly look at that. That is your revision, so that marks the end of the next second or the next 2 weeks in your textbook. You had to read the book review on the book The Princes and the Goblins, and then you had to answer some questions there. I'm not going to go through the questions now. I'm just going to give you the answers. So question 1A to 1F, the answers are the title of the book, The Princes and the Goblins, and please, boys and girls, you had to quote it correctly. You can't just write it as you wish, and you had to put it in your inverted commas, as I have done here, because it's the name of the book. It is set in a land of castles, mountains, and forests. Question 1C, the characters are the princess and her friend Curdy. Question 1D, they fight bad goblins. Question 1E, what is difficult about the book? The book has lots of big words, maybe for someone who's very young and not that experienced. And then what is good about the book? It is very exciting. That's the answer to question 1F. We're almost finished. The last couple of questions. Question 2, again, the same as the previous exercise. They've given you a couple of nouns which you had to divide into either countable or uncountable nouns. I asked you to answer the questions exactly as they are specified in your textbook, so I think you had to draw your table here. On the left hand side we have countable nouns again, and on the right hand side uncountable nouns. So your countable nouns are bandage, car, dump, man, family, and doctor. Uncountable, rice, help, information, happiness, milk, and health. Question 3's answer. It asks you which ones can be written, or which nouns have both a singular and a plural form, and those are the ones I've highlighted. A bush, a box, a teacher, a number, a bird, and a story. So that's just very quickly. You can see all those nouns will definitely have both a singular and a plural form. And then question 4, which is the very last question for the revision exercise, you had to match again the noun and the adjective. Remember, our adjectives describe our nouns. So the first one is an exciting story, a long river, a plastic bag, windy weather, and a sharp needle. Boys and girls, this was a very quick lesson. I'll also continue with these lessons. Some of them might be longer in future. Also, I might not be able to give you answers, or I won't be giving you answers for the formal assessments, but I will go through the work so that maybe you understand the work better and are in a better position to answer those questions. Thank you very much and stay healthy.